Hello everybody, we're going to talk about the assignment this week with Chrome Music Lab and how we're going to use the circle of fifths and simple chord progressions. So I'm assuming that you either know or can learn very quickly that when you see an uppercase letter in music theory, that you know it means a major chord. Just remember that now. Uppercase means major, lowercase means minor. A Roman numeral means a chord built off of that scale degree in the key we are working in. So for example, if we're in G major, a Roman numeral 1 is a G major chord, and as we know, chords are like arpeggios, skipping a note. So G, skip the A, B, skip the C, D, G, B, D, okay? Notice now this lower minor, or lower case 2, Roman numeral 2, is an A minor chord in the key of G major with the notes A, C, and E. So right now, just remember, uppercase means major, lowercase means minor. You're not going to need to know how to spell out chords for this assignment, but you do need to know the difference between major and minor. Okay, the circle of fifths that we're going to be working with, you see the outer circle here is uppercase letters, so these are all major chords. And the inner circle is all lowercase letters, so these are all minor chords. Okay, and then you understand that the counting of the scale degrees, based on the work we've done in class, is the key you're in is 1, and the next letter is the next number. Okay, you're going to want to follow these. You're going to want to follow these links to go play around with this Chrome Music Lab module, and if you're confused on how to use it or want to hear me describing how to use it, here's a link to a video. Now, so the objectives of this lesson is you're going to learn about a simple flow chart of chord progressions. You're going to study some analysis of sample chord progressions, and you're going to experiment using Chrome Music Lab, the sample progression, and you're going to create some chord progressions of your own. So you're going to need to turn in two things. There'll be two separate assignments on Schoology. One, you're going to write out something that you've done on scratch paper, but you're going to write it into the computer, the key scenario you're working in, and then you're going to write out the chord progression you came up with. Okay, and I'll show some examples of what some composers have done. And then, using the audio recorder in your Schoology, you are going to take that chord progression, perform it in Chrome Music Lab, and then turn it in. So you know how when you go to submit an assignment in Schoology, it gives you an option to make a voice recording. Well, instead of using your voice, you're going to have that module open, and you're going to quote-unquote perform the chord progression that you submitted in the other assignment in written down form. Okay? So, for example, D major 1, the D major is 1. E minor is the 2 chord. F sharp minor is the 3 chord. G major is the 4 chord. A major is the 5. B minor is, oh, there's a typo here. This should be a Roman numeral 6. I'll get that fixed, but that is built off the 6th scale degree, and then the 7th is diminished. Okay? So you'll notice how in one key signature in the circle of fifths, these are all clumped together. Okay. Now, when you make a chord progression, you're always going to start with the 1 chord. Well, not always, but in this simple situation, we're going to start with the 1 chord. The thing with music theory is that there's general rules and there's always exceptions to the rules. But the general rules are just kind of general guidelines. So for this simple chord progression, we're going to start with the 1 chord. And you have a choice. You can either go to the 5 chord, which then will go to the 1 chord. Or you're going to go to the 4 chord, which will go to the 1 chord. Or it could go to the 5 chord and then go to the 1 chord. Or you could start on the 1 chord and you could go into one of these chords, and then you're going to progress to the right. Now, if you look at the circle of fifths, you'll notice that these chords are just in the direction as you move around the circle of fifths. So if you went to the 3 chord and you move, it's going to move to the 6 chord, and it's going to move to the 2 chord, and it's going to move to the 5 chord, and then it's going to move to the 1 chord. And you'll see that all these chords, as they move along, have the same relationship. Play around with it, you'll start seeing the pattern. Now here's Pachelbel's canon in D. You can see how he kind of follows the pattern. So I want you to study this. You can play around with it in Chrome Music Lab and see what you think. You can try and play it. So for example, if I open up Chrome Music Lab and let's say there's a D chord, I want to go to the A chord. Okay, so there's that chord progression right there. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to our slideshow here. All right, now this doesn't exactly follow that general rule of thumb, but you can give that a try. Now, here's the Bach First Cello Suite. If you don't know what that sounds like, I'm surprised, but you can find a link right there. Here's a simplified version. So those first couple measures, they go from the G chord to the C chord to the D7, which we could just call D in this situation, to G. And then he starts changing key into D major very quickly right off the bat. So G major, E minor, A7 to D. So you could try playing that on the Chrome Music Lab. Okay, I'll let you play around with that. Here's some other examples. If you want a 12-bar blues, which is a very common form in blues and rock music, especially early rock music, you can see how it's just 1, 4, and 5 chords. Here's an example, early rock legend Chuck Berry playing Johnny Be Good. Or you have this doo-wop chord progression, which has that circle of fifths type progression over and over. Okay? Now, your job is to go mess around with the Arpeggio app, write out some chord progressions that you find interesting, try and follow the general guidelines, and then perform it on that and turn that in to me. All right? Let me know if you have any questions. We'll see you in office hours.